It seems like the booktuber is going to finally talk about books. Well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. XO, XO, Gossip Girl. That was a silly intro. Moving on. I have to get my computer out for this because I don't remember the books I've read recently, and honestly, I could get a piece of parchment, but I'm too lazy, so we're gonna soldier on. The first book I'm going to talk about all these fairly briefly because I have a lot to get through. It's from Twinkle with Love by Sandia Menon. I got this through NetGalley for a free and honest review. A free and honest review? A true and honest review? I should probably read what you're supposed to say about NetGalley books, but again, too lazy. From Twinkle with Love by Sandia Menon is her second book. It is about a girl named Twinkle who wants to be a director, and she wants to blaze the way for young women of color directors, and it has a romance in it. It's got great rep. It's got a fantastic, interesting, complex friendship between two ladies. And her driving force through this book, like, primarily is to regain a position with her best friend. She feels like she and her best friend have really, like, grown apart because her best friends become popular and she doesn't feel as popular. So I thought that was a really interesting take on that and an interesting driving sort of force for the plot and for some of the actions Twinkle takes. I really enjoyed this. It was super sweet. Sometimes I found the writing a little clunky, but in general I enjoyed it. I think that Sandia Menon's books are just going to get better and better, and if you like contemporary reads, this is a good one. Next we have Royals by Rachel Hawkins. I read this when I was in the UK and read it around the time of the royal wedding. Royals is about a girl who is just a normal, average Florida teen, but her sister is marrying the Prince of Scotland. Obviously, there isn't a monarchy in Scotland anymore, but it's fictional. It's fine. So this book is super duper fun. It's obviously not like realistic in the slightest. But I enjoyed that dynamic between the sister and the main character. I thought that was really interesting. I liked the way they talked about the trappings of fame and social media and gossip. The romance was very weak. I just don't think it had enough time to develop. I was waiting for like something to happen to prove why these two people should like each other so much. I got why they lusted after each other, but I didn't understand why they would have like fallen at least like into like. I didn't even fully see that. I could see them like crushing or liking each other, but maybe not to the extent that they ended up liking each other. There is a interesting lesbian rep in this book. I'm not a lesbian, so I can't tell you if it's good rep or bad rep, but so I liked it. I thought it was fun. Could have been better. I like Rachel Hawkins' writing. All in all, not bad. Next I read Wishful Drinking by Carrie Fisher. I read this when I was getting my hair done, and the guy was like really slow at doing my hair, so I finished the entire book on my phone while sitting there. Wishful Drinking is obviously Carrie Fisher's memoir from a few years ago. All I will say is that it was honest. It's fantastic. She tackles mental health, relationships, childhood stuff, drug use, all that, with humor and honesty. I miss Carrie Fisher deeply, and I really enjoyed this book. I read The Diary of a Bookseller by Sean Beitel. This is a nonfiction book, which is basically a transcribed diary log of Sean Beitel writing about his independent used bookshop in Scotland called Bookshop. Interesting name. This was a very cozy read. I like books about books. It's a genre that I think is fun and cozy. I sometimes thought it was boring, but in general, like, I think he did a really great job of, I mean, I don't think he was thinking about writing a book from what he had written in these logs, but I think he does a good job of crafting, like, these characters that come into his bookshop and their lives, and I was surprised by the end when he did the epilogue and you heard about their lives after this book had been written, which was, like, 2014, and I don't know, it was, like, kind of hit home, and I was like, oh. There's also some booktube mentioned because Jen Campbell, who is also an author, is mentioned in this book a couple times, which I thought was pretty cool. Yeah, I enjoyed it. It's not amazing, but it's a cozy read. Next, I read Take the Lead by Alexis Daria. This is an Own Voices book with a Puerto Rican protagonist. It's a romance novel. It was very, very, very good. It's basically like a Dancing with the Stars behind the scenes book. The main female character, Gina, she is Puerto Rican and she's a pro dancer, and then she has her love interest, whose name I can't remember, and he's on a reality show and has to come on to this Dancing with the Stars like show for money and for his family. This was sizzling, super funny, sweet, interesting, dealt with some interesting topics, like being a Puerto Rican woman on television and trying to make a name for yourself and trying not to be bogged down by stereotypes. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was super fun and super good. Next I read The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. A lot of people love this book. It's a fantasy book with fairies and darkness and murder. I liked it. I'm very skeptical of fantasy. It's very hit or miss for me, and I generally liked it. I liked the main character, Jude. I thought she was an interesting character. She's very, like, she defies a lot of gender stereotypes, which I think is cool. I liked it. I mean, it's not going to be my favorite book ever, but I enjoyed it, and I thought it was good for what it was. I thought the world building was really well done. I'm not always a big fan of Holly Black. I read Tithe? I'm gonna say that wrong, years and years and years ago, and I really didn't like that, and that's a book about fairies, so I was nervous about this, but I liked it. A lot of people like it. Next, as we all know, from a video I did a while ago, I read Anne the French Kiss by Stephanie Perkins. I reread this in the hopes of doing a video. I did a video, but not the video I expected. I talked about this in my video. I will say that I think that Stephanie Perkins can write, like, setting very, very, very well. And I think she does a good job of writing things that are very cute, like cute dialogue, sweet dialogue. Those are the best parts of this book, the dialogue and the setting. So, next I read Save the Date by Morgan Matson. I love Morgan Matson so much. I've read all of her books, and Save the Date did not disappoint. It is a really wild story about a family whose lives have been documented by the mother of the family through a very famous comic strip, a newspaper comic strip, and it's the end of that comic strip. It's also the eldest daughter's wedding. A lot is happening in this book. It felt like I was reading a movie. I saw someone say on Goodreads, and I was like, totally true. It felt like I was reading a movie. It was so fun. Romance was a very, very, very small part of it, probably the smallest part of it than some of Morgan Matson's other recent books, but I did not mind because I really liked that this story was focused on family and on, like, the interpersonal dramas of being in a large family. It was great. It had Cheaper by the Dozen vibes, despite the fact there wasn't 12 kids. There was a chaos that was really warm and also kind of like, I really liked it. Okay, and then finally I read Wicked and the Wallflower by Sarah McLean. This is a Regency era romance. I finished it today and I loved it. I love Regency era romance and I've been reading it forever. It's like, I love Jane Austen, but we get to see the saucy bits of what a Jane Austen novel has, which is super fun. This concept was really fun. It was basically, I don't want to spoil anything, but it involved like a criminal guy and a fancy lady down on her luck, kind of a spinster, and them falling for each other, obviously. I super duper liked it. If you like Regency era romance, if you like romance, I think this is a good romance. It was hot, it was funny, it was really well done. I enjoyed it. The romance didn't feel rushed. It felt like, even though things happened quickly, it didn't feel like, oh my god, insta love. It felt like, okay, this was like a long time ago, and it just felt like appropriate, the how fast it moved for the time period, and I enjoyed it a lot. So those are the books that I have read recently. I am currently listening to Mara Wilson's a memoir, which is super good. I am reading the third Diviner's book very, very slowly because I want to savor it. And I'm also working on like 8 bajillion other books. I don't know. But yes, that is my wrap up. I hope you enjoyed.